was dancing colours all around me, little round balls of jets of colours dancing and coming in, and there wasn't the colours of the earth plane. There was different colours. The greens were just stunning. When there was dark, they were still stunning. When there was light green, they were still stunning. And I asked questions, and I asked, what are all these things that's jumping up and down? And this guy said, when you're on the earth plane, Pamela, you have a body, eyes, hands, and everything. When you pass away, you leave that body behind. We are all identified here by the colour and the size of it's the orb, we call them here now. So it's an orb, but they go in different colours there. Some colours tell you they've been there a long time. Some colours tell you that they work with such and such purple person. So they've all got their own little thing by recognising by colours. And I was feeling so wonderful.
I'm very pleased to have Pam McCagh with me today, and Pam had a near-death experience that she would like to share with us. Pam, thank you so much for being my guest. I'm really excited to hear about your experience.
I'm very, very pleased to be here to talk to you and have the ability to get what happened to me out there.
Tell me what
Okay.
happened and how you almost died.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I don't want to change the way people think. I don't want to change religion. I'm telling you my story of what happened to me. And I hope that by listening, you'll get the questions answered that you need to be answered. Do you know what I mean? So my death experiences were different because I'm a suicide survivor. So I took my own life. Now, according to people, they always say if you take your own life, you're not allowed into the pearly gates. You know what I mean? That's just the reaction. So suicide was the last thing on my mind to do because I was brought up a very strict religion. You know, the church on a Sunday, Saturday, during the week, this and this and this. But the suicide thing was nowhere to go. I didn't have nowhere. Nobody wanted to listen in them days. Nobody wanted to know anything. And so I decided that the best thing for me to do was to leave this world. I had 3 children, but they wasn't getting the bringing up that they should have done because I was so depressed day in, day out. And all the doctors wanted to do was give me pills. So I was chock a block with full of pills. And anybody that's depressed will know that what depression is. There's no way out. Not as I thought then. But what happened is I laid down, dressed myself, comb my hair, do everything to do. So I'd die perfect, get nice and clean and tidy. And I fell off to sleep and I could hear a siren in the background. And I'm drawn with that siren is getting louder and louder on my head. I'm not understanding what's going on. And then all of a sudden, the heaviness, I'm going to say, of the world just dropped off me. And I felt a peace that you could never imagine. A peace of comfort. There was so much love there. It was like somebody had put a big duvet behind me and cuddled me in there and held me tight. And 1,000 people were saying, we love you and you're going to be fine. And because of that and the music that was playing, you followed on, you followed with them. I just wanted to go. I just went and I was going and going. And on my journey, I kept getting dragged back and I could see myself on the table and a big machine there. And I could see the doctor and he was putting something on my chest to jump out. And I'm turning around and begging him to please let me die. And then I was stood there, but I wasn't stood on the ground. I was just stood there where I could see everything. But that thing was surrounding me all the time. And it just kept me there. And I just wanted to go. And then I heard someone saying, I've lost the heartbeat. I don't know what that meant at that time. I just wanted to go, and I would have gone. And I'd say a person, because what it was a guide. And when this guide was taking me along, and things was happening around me, and I was asking him to explain, it seemed that everything they were telling me was so natural. There was dancing colours all around me, little round balls of jets of colours dancing and coming in, and there wasn't the colours of the earth plane. There was different colours. The greens were just stunning. When there was dark, they were still stunning. When there was light green, they were still stunning. And I asked questions, and I asked, what are all these things that's jumping up and down? And this guide said, when you're on the earth plane, Pamela, you have a body, eyes, hands, and everything. When you pass away, you leave that body behind. We are all identified here by the colour and the size of it's the orb, we call them here now. So it's an orb, but they go in different colours there. Some colours tell you they've been there a long time. Some colours tell you that they work with such and such purple person. So they've all got their own little thing by recognising by colours. And I was feeling so wonderful, and was going forward, and this big cloud came, big white cloud. And I'm thinking, what's going on, panicking. And then this cloud came into a beautiful face, absolutely beautiful face. And this lady came towards me, and she said, Pamela, you must go back. And I thought, you are joking. I was so desperate. And she said, and she leaned forward again, and she was kind of leaning right into me. She said, you haven't finished what you were supposed to do. We would like you to go back. And I promise you, she said, and as she's talking to me, this beautiful cloud thing turned into a beautiful face, absolutely beautiful face. And she said that her name she was the Angel of Mercy. And her job was to settle people's souls. So she said, I'm going to give you the opportunity within 2 years, you will have a wonderful life. And please trust me, you have to go back. And I begged and begged, I don't want to go back. Anyway, things started to happen. My vibrations started to rumble, and where everything was smooth. And all I could hear is kept saying, I promise you, you'll have a wonderful life. But, and she put her finger up, you have to return for this. And I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to know anything. I don't want to go. Don't send me back. That's all I was praying. And then she said that I would be called upon to listen to the dead dictating their stories. That didn't mean anything to me either, because I didn't want to know. Yeah. And so then all of a sudden I was back on this cold bed with a cold atmosphere. And I heard this nurse say, we've got a pulse, and everything went mad. And that was my miserable self coming back to this world. You wouldn't believe the feeling here to the feeling you get over there. There's no way that I could say to anybody, death is a burden or anything. It's a beautiful experience. And sometimes people ask me, if you had to explain death quickly, how would you say it? I'd say you open your eyes in one world, close the door and you'd open them in the other way. Or you'd go to sleep, open your eyes and you'd be there. And they say, oh yeah, well, how do we know this? How do we believe this? I said, only time will tell you that. And it's what you do in your lifetime that's accountable in the end. So I'd gone through all that. 3 weeks after that, for the first time in my life, I had a miserable lifetime, a miserable childhood. I was beaten out of the marriage, and I was beaten when I was in a child. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks after, my life started changing. I got an opportunity to get out of the hospital, and I was put in a sanatorium. But I was safe in a sanatorium, you see. So I was good. And then from a sanatorium, I met this doctor, and he was absolutely fabulous. And he talked to me a lot. And I think when you're in a depressing stage, you need somebody to talk to, but you need somebody that's sensible. You know, and I'll be honest, I still suffer today with depression. And I've searched a lot of people that's got qualifications to say they can help, but they don't. They can't help. They don't know how to help, because it's everything is in this world. It's a two-way thing. It's a give and receive. So what I do when I'm talking to people that's a lost loved one, I hug them, I hold them if I can, and I tell them about the loved ones and what happens to them, and things like that. You've got to give people hope today and understanding. You've got to be prepared to listen. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
So that was my plan. Now all of a sudden I left. I was in a miserable situation, and I was in this place, and I couldn't get my children back because suicides get the children took off them because they're not same parents. But I was told that if I leave the country and go to Australia, it's a different lifestyle there, and I would have a chance. And all of a sudden, I had an aunt come from nowhere and say, would you and your family like to come over and help with my mother in Australia? And I thought, I never even thought of going to Australia. I never thought about this, but it worked out for me. Everything worked out for me. It was like a dream. One minute I'm packing, the next minute I'm standing on the plane in Australia thinking, my God, I'm here. And then once I got into Australia, my life changed again, because all of a sudden I had opportunities that I could use. Um, I met this guy, and he said, join the army because it will give you a stability, because I needed stability. So I joined the army in Adelaide, and I could become second lieutenant. I was in there for 2 years, and I loved it. But it gave me something. The army gives you companionship, it gives you togetherness, it gives you that thing that I never had, you know what I mean? And so from there, it was a few years later, and I was sitting at the desk, and I was writing a shopping list, and I got milk, eggs, and I went to write potatoes, and I just couldn't get my brain to write potatoes. So I sat back on the bench, put my pencil down, and I don't know why I used a pencil, because I never used a pencil. And then I leant back, and then I leant back forward again, and I thought 5 to 7 pieces of paper was scribbled on. And I thought, I don't remember doing that. So I picked the papers up, and I read the story, and it was a beautiful story called The Soldier and His Men. And I thought, how the hell did I do that? So I phoned my son in England, and I told him about, and I read the story to him. He said, Mother, that's beautiful. And it was all about the bouncing bomb. I didn't know anything about the bouncing bomb then. I don't think many people did. And so he put me onto the RAF chap, and because this dead man come in, I didn't want to tell this bloke that I was talking to in England that I'm getting all my information from a dead person, because even I didn't believe it then. But I was getting the Fahrenheit now, how they had to go under the air raid, and how points this, and the camera had to be this, and the bomb had to bounce 3 times before its destination. So I give him all that thing, and he phoned me up, and he said, how the bloody hell did you not get all that information? And I couldn't tell him. I talked to a dead man. But see, since I've done that, I've listened to hundreds of stories. I've listened to romantic stories. I've listened to people that come back from the dead to say, whatever you do, don't do this. I on my journey, I've connected to guides, and people ask me about guides. and they're the most important thing we've got, because you have to have that connection to the other side. Now, I've got a guide that he's taught me everything. And he said he's with me in the beginning and he's with me in the end. And he tells me, I ask him questions about death and dying. I'm like a encyclopedia where everything comes in when he's asking me questions. You know, he answers them for me. And I've got a guide called Abula. And he takes me on a journey. And we go together, and he's saying that the mountain will learn me more than he can learn me. And I'm thinking, what's he talking about? And he said, don't think of the mountain as a mountain, but think of it as a hill. Because I had to climb it. He told me I had to climb it. I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to climb a mountain? But I always ask, and I always get my answers back. Anyway, I climbed to where he told me, and there was a big hole in the thing, and he told me to shout down the tunnel, and I shouted. And then this old woman come with all scaggy hair, and she told me really rudely to come in and sit down. I thought, I was freaking out. I was scared to death. Anyway, she threw the bones. She had this bag of bones, and she threw them down. And she said, you will write a book one day, and there'll be many books after that. And I thought, get out of here, she's bloody crackers. I can't even write a shopping list, let alone a book. Anyway, she just threw this powder in and she was gone. And I'm thinking, I've got all her acting mind, but it wasn't that. The knowledge that I got from that old girl is still with me today. And every guide that I've got, they teach me something. And people say to I was hoping that my children would take after me and I could teach them. My world is a wonderful world. I have so many spirit worlds come through. It's like I go to bed and I lay my hand out, because there's always someone that'll reach out for my hand and they want to tell the story. So I'm laid there, and I feel a gentleness on my hand, and they say, can I tell you my story? And then I get up and I sit on the computer and I'm tuning in. If it's somebody on a battlefield, then I'm with them on the battlefield. And I smell what they smell, I see what they see, and I'm with them. And they'll talk about the people that's laying there with them. They'll take me back. The wife is waiting and everything. So all the stories are only short stories. They're only 7 to 8 pages each. Each book is just full of the stories. But every story that you read, you learn something about the afterlife. You learn why these people come back and tell the stories. Because I said to my guide, how many stories are there when I first started to listen? And he said, how many stories do you need? I said, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with all these stories. And then he said, you'll write a book. I said, how will I write a book? I don't know a thing about it. And this is God's honest truth. God's honest truth. He showed me how to my son bought me a computer. By the way, if you do automatic writing, it only works with a lead pencil. It will not work with pen, because you hold it in the middle of your hand and your hand goes flat and the pen goes on its own. It's fantastic. They're going off again. The spirit world has taught me so much. I used to go to shows where 250 people were. And when you go and you do as a medium job, I do it with a card. So I used to put the cards under everybody's seat. So when people sat down, my guide taught me how to do this. I told them to put their hand in the seat and pick out the card. So they pick the card and just say it was 7 of spades. They'd come forward, because they've been holding it. They'd give me the card, and then I just rumble off what the spirit world told me. I said, you've got the seven of things. You'll be flying within the next year. You'll be doing this. you won't do this, you'll be doing this, and somebody's telling me they're coming to give you a hugs and kisses from the side. So they taught me how to do that. They taught me how to go outside and talk to the flowers. And the flowers would tell me whether they want me to pick them or not. They taught me how to move tables. And then I had this group of over 50s come, and they said, "Yeah, moving table, you must move it somewhere." So I got 3 people on the table. It's only a little table. And I started talking to the table, and it started moving. I mean, it moves from one side of the room to another. So this older girl said, somebody must be moving it around, she said. So she'd get out there. She said, "I want to do this. I want to get there." So she gets there and she's got her hand on the table. I only allow people to just put the fingertips on, just to tap in the energy. And then all of a sudden I said to my mother, because my mother moves the table, she's passed away, "Come on, let's have that table go really quick." And she sat there, real cocky, and the bloody table spun. And she said, I didn't do that. I never did that. I want me." She said, "The bloody table moved." So this is all the things that you can learn people to do, and you can teach people. People ask me how I work with energy. I'm a ball of energy. I mean, you can look at my age. I'm up at 5 in the morning. I'm going for the day. I love my work. I learn something every single day of my life. I was brought up with my grandmother, great grandmother used to read the tea leaves. My grandmother was used to read the stars. And every Sunday I'd go down to my grandmother's and we'd have tea cakes. And she'd say, "Poke the fire, Pamela." And I had to poke the bloody fire. And it, it splattered out. And she'd say, "Can you see anything?" "No, no, I can't. I didn't want to see anything. No, I can't." And then one day, she's giving me this big tea cake. And I'm poking away. And I said to her, "Oh, I can see an old man and he's fallen down. And I think he's fallen down by a kitchen table." My grandma said, "What?" She said, "What's he look like?" I said, "Well, he's got white hair." And I said, he's an old man, because I'm only young. And she said, "Well, what, describe the table." And I don't know why, but my memory just went to the table, and I said it was a wooden table. And all of a sudden, my gran dropped everything, grabbed my hand, dragged me out the door, put my hat on my head, and was running down the street. And it was her father that lived down the street. And he'd had an heart attack, and he leant on the table, then fell under the table and died. And I saw that. You see, it didn't mean anything to me. I just saw an old man falling and didn't want to know. And then other things later on happened in my life. But I had a strong-willed mother that said, "You will learn." She didn't ask me. She would learn. And every time my mother sat at this table, she used to have a lot of people used to come in from the war and ask where the family was. They was from China. They lived here in England. Everybody lived in England. And they wanted to know if the family was all right. And my mum used to say, "Yes, they're fine. They live in such and such a building. You did lose your mum, but your father's okay." And she reeled all this off and she said, "Are you listening?" I hated it. I hated my work. I never started my work until my death experience. And my life just changed completely.
Do you think that you, well, first, let me say there's a lot of talk about a great awakening. People feel like there's something coming or there's something changing or it's currently happening. And there's more and more experiences happening. You're a part of that by sharing these stories. Now, do you think that your depression was planned in advance so that it could open you up further to your gifts so that you can share these stories with the world in order to help usher in this great awakening?
I see what you're getting at. Look, at one stage, I would have said no. But now when I look back on my life, I would have said I was guided down that road, down that path where I thought nothing was going to ever eventuate. And then going on that path, then I concentrated all my energy in to channeling. I wanted to know all about psychic work then. I wanted to know about channeling. I want to know why people can move things. I wanted to know every single thing. And I think people can do that without having the gift, but they have to work hard at it. I work every day of my life. I put 20 minutes a day in because you don't get anything for nothing in this world and you don't get anything for nothing in the next world. You have to work for it. So I meditate every day. I ask my guide to relax me and I let them travel me and take me wherever I want. So yes, I do understand where you're coming from. I was brought up to believe that if you wanted something, you had to fight for it. And we as people have got so lazy, we've got the attitude that she'll be all right, mate. Well, I have been told that if the world gets so corrupt, then go back through history. It's like if you want to make changes in your world, like I'm from Britain. I've been over here for years, but I'm British born. Britain's gone to pot. It's absolutely so negative you can't believe it. But the only the only thing that can make things right with anything is that people get together and fight. You know, I used to ask a question because Hitler in his time fascinated me, and I wondered why 30,000 people would walk to the death. Now, if that was me, I won't go there. I'd fight. I'd smash and do anything to get there. There was 17 guides to get them to this crematorium place. It was 3,000 people. Why didn't they erupt and take charge and fight for their lives? I'm not condemning them. No, God knows I don't condemn them because that was the worst thing that could have ever happened in this world. All those people dying. But I wanted to know why. Look, if you want to do anything in this world and you want to make a better world for your children, it's no good saying, "Oh, she'll be right, mate," because it won't. You got to fight. You got to fight with everything that you've got to keep your world clean and tidy for, for that's it.
So, are you saying that war is coming?
I'm saying there's a lot of things that's going to take over. I mean, if you look what's happening now, a lot of thousands of people have lost their jobs. It's and if you look at Elon Musk, he's created all masses and masses of tin. I call them tin men. Um, they're very clever. No, they can think on themselves. They can do anything. That they are robotic people that can. If you see, if you try to get people to the war now to do it, to a war, they wouldn't go. And if they did, and you put a gun in somebody's hand, and they say shoot, they think twice about shooting. But you put a machine there, and you tell that machine to shoot, it shoot without fear. So we're going into that world where the only thing it truthfully is to fight for what we want for our children. We had to do it in the last war. People had to go to war. Now, all those people that died in the last war, they're the ones that's coming through and telling me their stories. And you know, the first thing they say to me is, "What did we die for?" And that's true. What did all those people die for in the war? Was it they all died for a better country? But did the country get any better? The people that should have made things right never made things right. So the prophecy is when I ask, go look back into what's happened in the last 300-400 years ago. Every time we can't look after the land. We're supposed to look after this land. We're supposed to keep the waters clean and fresh to drink. Where he lends us the land, I say the universe. lends us the land to crop it, to feed us and to be happy. We're put on this earth to live life to the full. And what do? We kill the beautiful land that He gives us. We can't drink the water anymore. The foods are mostly, half of it's poisoned. So where are we going to go from there? What's our next step? Where do you think we'll be in the next 10 years? That's what people's got to ask themselves. I'm not going to answer it. They've got to ask themselves, looking around, you go into supermarkets and you see these silly people serving themselves. And I go up to people and I say, do you get your food cheaper because you serve yourself? And they say, no. I said, why are you serving yourself? The lady's going to lose a job. You know, you've got to look at life as it is. I don't have to worry about that. At my age, people say, why are you worrying? But I've got children and I've got grandchildren and I've had a wonderful life. I want my children and my grandchildren to be able to go out and do some fishing, to swim in the waters, to be happy. So that that's a bit of that. Going back to life and death and everything in between, I 100% believe that we're put on this earth to live life and be happy. What we make of the life while we're here, that's up to us. And when we go to the other side, and I said to my guide, do we go, is it a big group of people that we go in front and they tell us a lifetime? He said, no. I said, well, who judges us? He said, you judge. I said, I don't understand that. And he said, you're the judge of your life. I said, well, am I going to be a judge? I'm going to only get the best out of my life. He said, when you're here on the earth plane, yes, you will. But when you're on the other side and everything's laid out for you, you are the judge of your life. It's like putting everything into roll, and he rolls all these things out. And what you feel in this life and what you feel in the afterlife is two complete things. There's no stress. It's calmness and truthfulness. And that's, when I do my books and when people ask me questions, I've got my own saying, what my guides tell me to say. What I say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. This is my world, but I don't push my world and my work onto other people because it's not my place to do it. But if I can help somebody that's lost a loved one, I've got over 500,000 followers, and I've only been on about 2 years. But people want to know, I've lost my mum, how am I going to cope? I can't sleep at night. I said, go into the wardrobe and find the jumper or the shirt that you then love to wear, take it to bed and cuddle it in bed, because that gives them comfort. And then you get people who say, I don't want to do that, Pam. I said, you still got your wife's wedding ring? And said, yeah. I says, get it in a chain or get a little pin and put it inside your shirt. So you've always be close to your wife. Them are the things that give people comfort. It's the worst thing in the world to lose a person. But if you look at it, if you read my stories in my books, and people come back and say, I'm telling a story not long ago where there's a young girl sitting on a gravestone and she can see a man coming to the grave every year. And she's saying to me, why does she come every day? I said, it's the only place that she's got to grieve. And she says, I put my arms around my mum and she can't feel I'm there. I cry and she doesn't know I'm crying. She said, when she sits there, I sit there. And I said, you just have to have patience with her. And she said, look at my mum, she looks like a bag of bones. Her hair's not sound because she's so stressful of where her daughter's died. And I said, well, help her to get into her mind and tell her that you're happy and you've passed on, but you're still there with them. And she said, well, how am I going to do that? I said, tell her to open the book where you used to put all your photographs and reminisce about the loved ones, because when you open photographs of someone you've lost, you normally put your hand on the photograph, and that's a beautiful energy. And then your memories come in and you look at happy memories. Now, if the spirit's trying to come through and be with you, and you got so stress and negativity around you, it's like it's bad wire around your head that can't get in. But if you say, I say to my mum, I'm going to put the kettle on. Do you want a cuppa? And because we was known to do that, I can feel her by my side. Or I turn around and say, I should have a day today. And she said, well, sometimes you make it, you take too much on. So I actually talk to her as if she's still here. And she answers me. And if you pretend that they're still there, they are there, but some people can't take that on board. But if you talk to them like they're still there, the stronger you get towards person that's passed away, the stronger you get to them, the closer they can get to you. But if you got negative energy, they got no blade chance at all. So hug someone. Every day you've got to go out. I go in the shopping centre and I just walk up to somebody. They think I'm mad. And I said, oh, just going to give you a hug today. And they say, oh, thank you very much. And then they, oh, she hugged me. Oh, she hugged me. She's quite pleased about it. Hugging people is a healing process. And if you can't say something about nice people, don't say anything, you know. And we do have to be responsible for the world, because if we don't, then we'll lose everything that we've got. And if you all sit there and listen and you think of all the beautiful places in this world. I mean, we watch TV and all these places come in with gullies with fresh water and beautiful trees and mountains that Scott tree. And I think, my God, what a beautiful world we're given. And what have we done? We're killing it off. Who's the idiots? Hey, it's sad, isn't it?
So you had a glimpse of the other side, but I feel you have had much more insight about what the other side is like from the experiences or the stories that you've received afterwards. What is your position on what happens when we die?
When we die, it's like as I said, it's the feeling. Is the feeling comes on, or I'm trying to talk to you, and I've got somebody coming in and they want to talk to me. So I'm going to listen to what they're saying. And one of them, I'm not going to like this, but I'm going to have to say it, because I've got a old gentleman that's coming in and he's telling me that he said, you're asking about life and death. He said, I'm going to tell you my death. So he's going to take me through that. He said, I got sick one day and I was rushed to hospital. He said, in the hospital, he said, they closed the doors. He said, my daughter was coming behind me in the car. And by the time my daughter got a car part and come in, they closed the hospital part off. And they all had masks and they had this thing all over them. So I must have been in covert thing. And he said, and all I could see was my daughter tapping on the door, glass door. There's like a door, and you could see. And she's telling them, let her in. She wants to come in. And they said, somebody's 3 or 4 daughters are screaming at him saying, you can't, you got COVID and it's going to spread. And he said, I had to die, a lonely old man, and I had to watch my daughter screaming through the glass because she wanted to be with me on my death. Is that what you call death? So he's been really demanding me to say, is that what you call death? Because that's what he doesn't call death. So that is his way of explaining his death. And I'm really sorry about that. But when they come in, they can take over and they have to say what they feel. And he said he hopes that people will listen to that story, because there wasn't only one. There was many more that died lonely, and they shouldn't have died. When you die, you need your loved ones by your bedside to hold your hand and comfort you. So that was that was an extra part, that was. But that's how they come in. It's a beautiful experience. I could be talking to anybody. You know, I'm at shopping centre, and somebody will want to come in and say, "That's my daughter there," and I say, "That's my daughter. Tell her." Around her neck, she's got my dad's ring. Tell her about the ring. And I have to stand there and I have to say to this girl, "I'm sorry, but have you got a ring around? Have you got a chain around with a ring on it?" And yeah, she said, "This was in Bunnings." Yeah, she said. And she showed, and then there's once I've said it, they let me have peace and I can walk away. But it doesn't matter if they want to come through, they'll find a way to come in. I'm not here to give messages. I only do it when they want to tell me. It's the stories that, if people, the books, so you can buy some of the books now on Amazon. Now, this is another thing. I don't write books like normal people. I can, and people don't believe me. When I wrote my first book, I wrote it in 9 weeks. Never written anything in my life. My guide showed me how to get into Word document, and I mumbled that a bit about. And I did my first book in 9 weeks, and it was out into the big wide world. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And I got a lot of things behind it. But my second, third, fourth, and fifth book, I wrote in a matter of 5 days. And people say, it doesn't happen. But I got proofs on my computer. So a few months ago now, it's going back about 4 or 5 months ago, these soldiers come to me and they said, "Look, we love to tell you our stories because we need to tell them. But our stories get lost in your books where parents are losing children and our stories get lost. So could you please put our stories in one book?" And I said, "Oh, okay then." So I said, "You want me to take all the stories out?" He said, "Yeah, we'll take them out, but there's a lot more stories going to come through from soldiers." So I said, "Do you know what you're going to want the book to be called?" And he said, "Yes. We've all decided." I look around, there's all these soldiers and armies and Navy people, and they said, "A Promise of Tomorrow." Okay, I said, "Well, why did you choose that?" He said, "Because when we all joined up, I was 14 and 15 at that time, and we joined up because we were told that we was going to have new boots." He said, "I never had a pair of boots in my life. I was on farm. My mother was poor." And they said we'd have 3 square meals a day, and we'd travel on the train. He said, "I'd never traveled in a car, never mind a train." So that these people went and promised that to join up, you can get this and this and this. He said, "But you know what?" And they all stood round, put their arms around each other. They never told us we would have to kill somebody. And they never told us that we would have to hold our mates on his hand and watch them die. And that's what they left with me. So this is why they come back, to tell their stories. Some of them. I'm writing there, and I'll tell you, I'm used to write all my stories with pencil because I used to do automatic writing. And I used to let them do it. But now I had a soldier come in and say to me, "I'm having a shower." This is true. "I'm having a shower." And I heard somebody say, "I'm here." And I think, "Oh God, who's that?" And I put my hand around the shower and he said, "I'm going to sit on your bed and wait." I said, "You're joking. What are you doing?" And he said, "I can't see anything." He said, you're not like a person to me." I said, "Well, what do I look like?" And he said, "You're just like a mist." I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah, this is true." So he sits on the bed and he's laid there and he's one leg up, and I sit on the bed with towels and everything around me, And he said, "We've all had a talk and we've decided that we've given you a very difficult job to listen to our stories because," he said, "I watched you and my friends watched you for a couple of days, how we come in, tell the stories, and you're trying to scribble to keep up with us. And then you've got to try and decipher it afterwards. So he said, we're going to give you the gift of memories." And I said, "How does that work?" He said, "We're going to allow you to go into our memories and you will listen to our story through our memories." And I said, "Will I be able to do that?" He said, "Yeah." I know this bloke come in, he said, "You're our memory catcher." So that's what the other side called me, the memory catcher. because that's what I do. If somebody comes in, I catch the memories, sit down with them, and I listen to the stories and I write them. I don't know anybody can write beautiful stories like that. I mean, if you get the chance, you'll see, if you Google Pam McCagh, and you spell McCagh as MCCAGH, and you go on YouTube, you'll see I've been on television, talk about radio. I've done a lot, but I like talking to people like you. I'm a down-to-earth person. I don't want to be out there in the big world. I just want to be me. And I don't care if the group's 10 people or 10,000. I just enjoy. Do you know what I mean? So if you go there, you'll see a lot about me. And I've got my own podcast and all. But I hate talking to myself. I like to talk to somebody else. But you see, I'm thinking, at my age, if I don't get all this knowledge out to people, it's true knowledge. Everything I say to you can be calculated, you know? If somebody says, you give me proof, the books are proof. I mean, 24 books full of stories from army people, from Canada, from China, from everywhere, telling the stories. And they give details, and there's no one in the world, I don't think, I can throw that as a challenge, that can write stories like me. I listen and write them down. And I cry half the time. And then when I finish, they say, come on. And they say to my husband, someone tell your husband to put the kettle on. My husband's here, so he's the one that catches all the disturbances, like, come on, he said, I'll make you a cup of coffee. Because what I listen to stories, some of them are heartbreaking. They talk about afterlife, they talk about reincarnation. That's one of my books. Now, how I write these books, and now you would be stunned. That's the Whispering Souls. This is Memories from the Past. This is Can Butterflies Cry. This is A Place to Die. This is The Shadow Children. Now, The Shadow Children is a book that taught me a lot about how children die and where they go, and now who helps them and who's there for them. The book is just full of children that's come back from the dead to tell their stories to help people that's losing. So we got About the Shadow Children, The Child's Trust, Eric, The Caterpillar, Nowhere to Go, If You Need Me, Gone with the Wind, Reach for the Sky, I Want to Sing, The Canary, If Tomorrow Never Comes, How, Why and When, Bless His House, The Roadside Way. That's beautiful, that was. Where Do Children Go? My Brother Jeremy, Hello, Goodbye, When the Bow Breaks, Dancing in the Mirror, The Key, Purple is Forever, If Only You Was Here, Can You Play With Me, The Truth About Mary, Pages of Love Letters, Love Her. So all these are stories that are connected somewhere to children. And then you've got Death Comes With No Choice. And that tells you about, and we haven't got no choice. We can't say we're not going to die tomorrow. If the universe says your time's up tomorrow, you're going to go, no matter what. So it tells you about death comes with no choice, and that's a lifetime of memories. That was a book where this old lady took me through her life story, and then told me the end of her. She knew all about her death. That was absolutely beautiful story. And then again, if you look in there, you'll see these heaps, but 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, and that's my corrections on my picture. But that tells you how many stories, all trying to explain to people about death and the afterlife. Have you yourself had any experiences or anything, or are you just intrigued?
I had a shared death experience with my husband when he passed away.
Oh, did you? Oh,
I
so
did.
what are you going to do with your life now?
I was called to create this podcast. It would happen 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I've had basically a 20-year dark night of the soul. And then in January, I was kind of similar to you, but I was having a conversation with like this being in my head or something, and I it was calling me to make this podcast. I had wanted to do it for a long time, but I never did. And I was arguing, saying, I don't know how to do that. I don't know, how to get people to interview. I've never interviewed people. I don't know how to do that. And then I just heard the word, or well, I heard it ask, do you not trust me? And then I said, well, I'm going to, give this a shot. And then the doors opened and I met people that I could interview, and then people reached out to me wanting me to interview them, and I was putting the videos out, and it's just been an amazing part of my spiritual journey.
Journey. And that's what it is, a journey. And, you know, there's always a reason for things. And I think that by going on this journey, you've learned a lot about where your husband is and where your life's going to be. And if you ask, I ask my guides everything. If you're too afraid to ask, you won't go anywhere. You ask everything and then I get the answers. And you've got the answers because they're showing you the way. So this is your forte of healing. You listen to the people and you want to know. Then you've got your job then is to pass it on to the knowledge for other people that need that knowledge. Because there's a lot of sad people out there.
Is your website the best way for the viewers to reach you if they wanted to ask you questions or purchase your books?
Well, if they want, they can find everything on Google by Pam McCagh, but it's an Irish way of spelling McCagh, so it's McCagh. So you can get now. I've got my own podcast on there. You'll see all my books on there. There's about 7 pages on Google about me, of what I do and what I've done and whatever. As I said, I'm not a person that goes out. I don't like big cameras. I'm comfortable here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, whatever. Look, you have a look, and please feel free to phone me back or message me back and tell me what you've seen on Google and what you understand. And but if you get onto my own podcast, and you can, because what I do, I pick a book and I tell people how that book was written, and I tell them about all the stories in there. So the book comes a storyteller for people to understand about things because not everybody can read a book. Not everybody's got a patience to read a book, but I tell stories about how, the letter of hope. I was going to an interview to the radio station, and I get to my car, and this old girl comes and sits inside. She's a bag on her knee, and she says, "We're off." And I thought, "Oh, okay, this is a spirit world lady." And we get there, and we get out, and I goes in, and then this bloke comes, and then he says, "Are you going to talk about the afterlife?" And I said, "Yes, that's what I've been invited to." It's, "Well, I don't want you here." And so this lady said, "You have to find a way to get through him because I need him to tell you about his wife. I need to talk to him about his wife." And she's telling me and telling me. And I'm trying to get through to him and tell him about the lady that's come with me. She wants to talk, but he doesn't want to allow. So I had to go away, and the lady had to got in the car, so sad. So there was a connection with him and with the old lady, but never got, because some people don't want to believe in afterlife. So that was sad, wasn't it? But that's life. We've got a beautiful day to look forward to tomorrow. And my husband's going to make me a nice cup of coffee, so I'm all ready. But I thank you. Don't be afraid if you want to ask me any questions at all, or you want to come.
Pam, if you had one message that you wanted to leave with the audience from our conversation today, what would it be?
Love everybody. Cuddle as many people as you can, because you know what? This we get more comfort. You feel it. You go to comfort, cuddle somebody, and really cuddle them. You feel happy. You can feel them tense up. Then all of a sudden you feel them just relax, and they become a different person. So I like to spread. I don't like to preach to people and tell them this and that. But a cuddle is free and it's easy, and it's give with love. That's it.
It's been a true honor for me, and I appreciate you doing all the beautiful work that you're doing.
Oh, do you know what? I love my work. There's not a day goes by where, well, I mean, I'm not very computer. I'm not a computer kid at all. And and I get stuck and I say, why are you doing this to me? Just figure it out for me because I'm leaving the computer today. I'll walk away and I come back and it works. Ask me why, but it does. So anyway, I love you apes.
Thank you for being here. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you being here and supporting my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing if you enjoy near-death experiences and other spiritually transformative stories. It helps the algorithm know that this information is useful and push it out to more people. And that's the goal, to get as many people to know that we are eternal spiritual beings and that we never die. Our bodies might die, but our essence will never die. And I want people to live with less fear. Let's all spread the word. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that little notification bell so you get all the notifications when my videos post. Thank you for all of your support. I'm sending love to you.